My man.
What's up, buddy?
Hey, so
Cheers.
I'm going Coors Latte today. What do you got going?
Got a little bourbon, a little ginger.
All right. Get to it. Now, this is something I've really looked forward to. We reviewed our very first, which I think was an easy one for us, Mr. Chris Stapleton. We talked about Stapleton last week. This week,
Agreed.
we're getting into somebody that I know we both love as people, and we're very fortunate to call this artist a friend. And I want to choose my words carefully because I don't want anyone to get the wrong idea. But this is not an artist that you would traditionally listen to outside of me begging you to give it a try. Mr. Sam Hunt.
Yes. My experience with Sam Hunt up until recently, the last week, maybe, you sent me some music from SouthSide when it came out, but up until then, it was just what I'd heard on country radio, the handful of songs since, last 5 or 6 years that I'd heard that he put out. So very limited scope for his music. And
I have talked to you at great lengths about this. You've definitely helped me. So I got my first job in country radio. We touched on this a little bit, but for anyone that's watching this, about 7 years ago. And so Hood is my brother. He's my best friend from home and just someone that I love as family. I would ask you about artists and I would ask you about country music, and you've helped me garner a true appreciation for all types of genres, subgenres of country. So this is somebody that I was like, man, I know that Hood's going to be torn because you have a personal relationship with this artist now. And I've talked to you about this ever since I started. It's hard when you love someone to give any kind of critique on their art.
Yeah, so we hung out with Sam in Nashville a couple months ago when we met out there with some buddies, and right off the bat, just to your point, when you meet someone that's a big deal or a big musician, at least for me, you go in and you wonder, you figure they're probably going to be nice, but are they genuinely nice or are they just nice because being a dick's not that cool? Like that, you can tell when someone is down to earth, really a nice person, or just kind of playing the part. And Sam, you could tell right off the bat, all of us agree that, man, he's just one of the guys, joking around, laid back, just a cool dude. And that definitely, when we decided to kind of dive into this album, and then I was able to give, to look at his catalog even further, being that my experience was a little bit less. It definitely.
Well, I mean, hell, he's only got 2 albums, so I mean,
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't have 5 or 6 years, 2 albums is not a lot of material for an artist. But it definitely, it's like a third dimension when you start listening to his music, being that he's just a good dude, and you know that genuinely from a personal connection. So
yeah. All right, so I asked you to get into SouthSide. There's 12 tracks on the album, and if you can you give me your favorite song, just your number one song? Someone wants to listen to SouthSide. What's your favorite song on it?
Favorite song is easy for me on the album. It's 2016, first song on the album.
Same.
Now, I'll say this. For my ear, to me, it's the only traditional country music song on the album. And, and I say traditional country music song because I'm not the person that decides who's a country artist and who's not. Sam is obviously a country artist, and he's obviously a very, very talented individual, which I found out a little bit more about his talent this week when I dove into him as an artist, even past this album. But for my ear and what I gravitate towards, 2016 is by far and away the best song on the album, and the only traditional country song on the album. Little acoustic guitar, little steel guitar, great lyrics, and regardless of era or artist, it's just a good song, man. It's a banger.
Yeah, agreed. All right, so I'm 2016, and I'll even go even further. We're going to do a top 5 list. 2016 is my number one Sam Hunt song of all time. So I could not, I figured you and I would connect on that. So anyone that's listening to the album, Great place to start, 2016. All right, 12 tracks. You and I, we always grade albums, not 1 to 10, but how many tracks that we're not skipping. And I know this is outside of your personal lane, so I'm assuming that it's not going to be the Stapleton number. But how many tracks on this album were you? And I'm almost fearful of this, but like, how many were you? What are you going to give us?
I made a point when I listened to this album to try to separate and compartmentalize my relationship, the time that we hung out with Sam, and the way that I looked at this album. And I did do that. So for me, it's a generous 3. And I want to elaborate on the generous part of the 3. The third song, the song that got me to 3 is the last track on the album called Drinking Too Much.
Really? I would have thought that was your least favorite song on that album.
Let me elaborate a little bit on that. The music aspect of it and the production don't necessarily they're not in my wheelhouse. However,
the album's not in your wheelhouse, which I love that you that you did a deep dive on it. But go ahead, I didn't mean to interrupt.
I gravitate, to your point, I gravitate towards traditional country music. That's what I listen to.
Right.
That's my favorite genre of country, and it's my favorite genre of music. But
right.
Drinking Too Much is more of an R&B type style, I guess, or at least to me it is. And like I said, the music and the production for me is not my thing. But I think the writing was so unique. It was so personal that
man, very personal.
When I listened to it, just from a fan to an artist perspective, I was actually amazed that it was on the album, because he's literally addressing another person who is now his wife, if I'm correct. Is that
yes.
right?
You're correct. Yep.
He was actually sending a message to his now wife in this song before they got back together. And just the unique aspect of being able to do that and putting that on an album, for me, that was very interesting, and I thought that was cool. So I like the song, I like the artistry, and then the very end too. I want to add this little tidbit. The end of the song, which is the end of the album, ends with a little clip, a little piano clip, from the old hymn "How Great Thou Art." And I just thought that was cool too. Like, it's just a nice little bow, tie it up song and album. And it all worked out for him, and it's amazing. But I think that was a glimpse into what he was going through at that point in his life, which I thought was cool.
Yeah, very creative. Now, we talked about this. I don't think I've ever told you this story, and I would love to share it. I'm going to make it as quick as possible. But I want people to understand how hard that is to separate someone that you truly enjoy. And I know we've talked about this off record, that you really genuinely just like Sam. Like, Sam's just a really nice guy, Mm-hmm. And so when someone is your buddy or your pal or someone that you have respect for as a human being, you innately want them to succeed in life. And that's how I feel about a lot of people that I've gotten a chance to listen to their music. And Sam's right at the top of that list. But I do want to give a little bit of background of why I'm also so personally attached to him, of like, he's such a good dude and he's so crazy talented. No matter what you feel about what is country, traditional country, Bakersfield sound, like whatever subgenre of country music that you enjoy. And I love that you did this so well, because this is not your personal, is that you gave credit for how talented he is. You know what I mean?
Right.
And like, we'll talk about some bluegrass stuff here in just a second that he's also very good at. But I was at Stagecoach, and a lot of people are familiar. It's a music festival out here in Los Angeles or California. And, 70,000 people go to this. Well, the year that Sam headlined, he headlined Stagecoach with one album. Like, that's I don't think that's ever happened before.
Yeah.
But that goes to show you how popular he is across genres. They had an after party at this thing called Neon Carnival, and Neon Carnival started at Coachella. It's a massive thing. Thousands of people go. I don't even know. I have no idea how you get tickets for it. Somebody reached out to me and asked me to bring a crew of people to it. So I was like, oh, all right. So when I showed up, because I'd been to Coachella, but I had never been to Neon Carnival. I went and there was at least 5,000 people in this, in this big desert area. There's rides, there's a DJ playing, there's a dance floor. People are having a great time. It's 3 a.m. People are partying. Well, a big police barricade is coming through the entrance when I got there, and I was looking for a friend. I was by myself. I was looking for a friend, and
sure, buddy.
I'm sure. And Sam, so it was Sam Hunt after his performance. He was coming to kind of hang out for a little bit. I guess he had a table somewhere, and he moved everyone out of the way. And now I for anyone that thinks, well, of course, like you're in country radio or in country music or you work for Spotify. I didn't work in country radio at the time. I wasn't working for Spotify, which I do now. Please, everybody check out Country Shine on Spotify and all their playlists. I think they do an amazing job. And Country Shine, baby. But I didn't have any of that. Sam just knew me through, from times that we'd hung out before. And he stopped this 20-person barricade of police officers that were walking him through just to stop and talk to me. He was like, yo, come hang out, come sit down, come kick it. So like he was just being a nice guy. There was nothing there for him to gain any kind of advantage of anything. Right. He was just being a nice dude. So with all that being said, on this album, 9 of the tracks, because my musical taste is a little bit different for yours. I started listening heavily to country in a different era than you did. So
right.
I gravitate towards different sounds, and I gave it a 9. So together, you and I, we give the album a 6. That's going to be our score for 6. And you and I got to come up with a name for this, but it's only our little second video, so we'll figure that out. But our score together is a 6. Now,
let me say this about Sam. To your point, and I was thinking about this as you were talking. People that my little experience with Sam, hanging out with him, and you meet a really good person that also is super talented and creates art and does things that you don't necessarily do. Even though that might not be your personal taste, the talent that Sam has is undeniable, absolutely undeniable. The writing, and I get the appeal of the music that he does. The general music that he does is not what I don't personally gravitate towards, but I still understand the appeal. And I also understand that country music as a genre has always been a product of artists like Sam pushing the envelope. The music that I like from the 90s or early 2000s at one point was seen as not traditional country music. So
like Garth Brooks. They used to call Garth Brooks pop.
In that regard, I think it's cyclical. Now, I'll probably always be the guy who likes what I like. I don't think I'll ever get into what we call today pop country, the subgenre of pop country. I don't think it will ever be my personal, but I do understand the appeal, and I can definitely recognize the talent.
Yeah. All right. Well, that being said, and this is what I was looking forward to most from doing this. And again, I apologize for telling that long, drawn-out story. I just really wanted people to understand the links of how nice Sam is as a human being. But something that I know that you were excited to share is we'll do a top 5 of like your 5 favorite Sam Hunt songs and some of the things that you learned about Sam from doing the research and finding your top 5.
5 to 1, right? We'll do 5 to 1 again.
Yeah, start 5 and then work your way up.
Okay. 5 is actually a song off SouthSide. It's the number 2 song to get me to my 3, Nothing Lasts Forever. Again, in my opinion, not a traditional country song, but the writing is so smart. And I dig the music. I dig the production on that track. So that's my number 5. Number 4 would be Cop Car. His live acoustic version is actually a Spotify session in New York City. Love that version. Love what he does with the chorus. And he even gives like a little story with how he came up with that song.
Yeah, anybody listening to this, go check that out because he does give like a lot of color to the origination of that song on Spotify. Yeah. You can find that. I think, like you said New York Sessions, right? It's the Spotify New York Sessions.
Yeah.
Yeah, y'all check that out. That's pretty dope.
That was one that I found this week as I was, digging in. Did not know he wrote that song. Obviously Keith Urban cut it, but Really, really good
Right.
version. Number 3 is a song called 23. It's unreleased, but I love the version on his Instagram that I found this week.
Right.
Just again, is the version on his Instagram is stripped down acoustic guitar. The acoustic guitar playing in that, it's like 3 or 4 guys playing acoustic guitar, and they are
Tyrone is our guy, man. Tyrone, if you're hearing this,
talented.
Tyrone, so talented. Love you, brother. Y'all got to check out his candles. I don't have one in here, but companies, I think it's called 27.9.
Smell delicious.
Yeah, smell delicious. But Tyrone is the man, and he's also he's a basketball player. He's going to be matching up if we're ever invited back. I don't know if they're ever going to bring us back and play ball in Nashville.
The Boom Boys whooped those Nashville boys, so I don't know if they'll invite us back, but maybe. So that song, I look forward to that coming out. Selfishly hope he doesn't overproduce it, because in the acoustic version that I saw, his talent is just like his voice. He's got a great voice, and he's
got a great voice. He's got a great voice. Yeah.
Number 2, I'll throw you for a loop here. I know you're going to be a little surprised. 2016. It's not my 1. It's my 2.
I know. Well, do you have a 1 then? Because I felt like I would have said, okay. 2016 is number 2.
2016. Just regardless of genre, great song. Any song that starts with a little acoustic strum, and the words, I'd put the whiskey back in the bottle, the smoke back in the joint. You got me. I'm in. Let's listen to this. You're probably going to see eye to eye on this. So, and you sent me that song. I had not heard it when the album came out. So that's number 2. Number 1 is a cover that I heard this week. I think it just hit the interwebs this week. Sitting on Top of the World. The bluegrass cover of a really old country song. It's been done a million times by a million different people. But Sam's voice, the bluegrass sound, he teamed up with some legends there. And man, they killed it. And I love it. I can't stop listening to it. So that's my number 1.
Yeah.
A little prisoner of the moment, but number 1.
I was going to make, you made fun of me for being a prisoner of the moment last week with Nashville, Tennessee, my Stapleton top 5. But I'm going to let you go with that. And I think you said something about you were hopeful that maybe he goes down the bluegrass road.
Dude, let's do a bluegrass album, Sam. Let's just cut this other stuff. Let's do a bluegrass album. I mean, I was blown away by just his ability. It speaks to his talent. Yeah.
I mean, to be able to pull off the broad spectrum of music that he's able to pull off just kind of speaks to how talented he is. So very cool. Our lists are very different. I'll run through mine very quickly. Sending With You was number 5 for me. Come On Over, the Spotify version. Now, I know Kenny Chesney cut that song, but I really enjoy Sam's version of that. Mm-hmm. And Breaking Up in the 90s is 3 for me. Kinfolks, because I like the word kinfolk, is number 2. And I think it's a fun song. And I'm very similar to you. The things that I love are usually sad country songs. And Kinfolk is upbeat fun. And, I really loved it. And then Far and Away, just like Chris Stapleton's top 5, Fire Away was number 1 and probably will never change for me. Yeah. It's very hard for me to foresee 2016 ever being surpassed as my favorite Sam Hunt song. So 2016 would be my number 1 all time, Mr. Sam Hunt.
Can't argue with that one.
Hey, man. Number 2 in the books. How do you feel? You feel good about it?
Yes, sir. Love it. Good time.
All right. So next week, I know that you and I were joking around. We were going to maybe do Jackie Lee. But we might put that on the back burner.
Boy, Jackie, I tell you, talking about Jackie Lee, we might have to take it out on him on the album review when we do it, because he was dropping some trays.
He was
goodness.
Yeah, Jackie Lee, a very talented artist in his own right. For anyone watching this, like, who are they talking about? Jackie Lee, just an incredibly awesome human being, but he was very kind and invited us to his show. Him and Lainey Wilson were performing at the Listening Room.
Yeah,
and I remember you walking out of there, really raving about his vocals.
Yeah, for us regular folk, that was very, very nice thing to be able to see. And Jackie Lee's super talented. And love Laney
Yes.
Wilson also.
Yeah. So we're gonna get to Jackie Lee, but I think next week when we do this, and if I can keep convincing you to do it, I would love to do Ashley McBride Never Will, if that's something that you'd be up for. I know you and I both appreciate her talent and love her music, but I think that anytime you can shed light on some of the songs people need to hear, I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, I'm down. Let's do it. Look forward to it.
Awesome, man. Well, cheers. Hey, brother, number 2 in the books.
All right,
I'm having a blast, man. I appreciate you making time for this.
Yes, sir. Talk soon.